Good. Oh wait.
Are we on? Is
Yeah.
this camera on me?
What's
But
going
yeah,
on, Mitch? How's everything?
all good, bro. All good. Good to catch up again.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's exciting to talk to you. I'm such a big fan of your film. It was just like such a. I'd seen it in South by, and I was just blown away by it. I was just like struck by it, and like just the emotion, the tone of it, everything, like the journey of the character. Um, I mean, it was a beautiful film.
Thank you, bro. Thank you so much. And yeah, same with Nuevo Rico. Like yeah, one of the highlights at South by Southwest. And then yeah, I said to you already, like I'd known a lot of your work from before. I'd been on your Vimeo page and fanboyed out and like yeah, really because I think you did stuff for Eric Andre, and yeah, I was a big fan of that show, and yeah, I
Oh
think that's how I
yeah.
found your work. And yeah, man, congrats, because it seems like yeah, the you managed to get lots of festival attention and yeah, got the story out there, which is yeah, what we all kind of doing this for.
Always surprised in a weird way that it would resonate with people on any
Mhm.
level. Like sometimes I think anything that comes from like a niche community, like in this case
Yeah.
Puerto Rico, it's not like a mainstream thing. So I was kind of like really feeling good and blessed that it would resonate with so many people, and like
Mm.
it was pretty wild. Yeah, it was just
I know that feeling. I think yeah, when we were making Play It Safe, like I always assumed like outside of Black Britain, basically, I was like, yeah, I don't know whether this is gonna actually resonate. I didn't even expect it to cross that, you know, like I thought, okay, if we do this well, I think there's definitely the people that like yeah extended friendship circles or whatever, you know, like people are going to rate this. There might be some film communities that rate that we shot on film and like that kind of geeky film side of things. But yeah, I didn't actually think somewhere like South by Southwest would yeah like recognize the film and yeah we all that we'd win anything, you know, that yeah, I don't know how have you found the like that crossing of borders in terms of your work, like
oh
people just
yeah.
completely opposite of
It's
where
interesting.
you thought it would end up.
It's interesting because like um I feel like in America being Puerto Rican already has like its own conflict, you know what I'm saying? So
Mm,
like even getting recognized where we're like from, you know what I mean? Like is its own challenge. But this is probably the first. I've done international film festivals before, but I
mm,
think for some reason Nuevo Rico kind of struck a little bit farther in that sense, you know, like we got it
mm,
into more international film festivals than I had before. And I
mm,
found that really like kind of cool and interesting because it's like a lot of times there's like really like little conception or idea of like that, you know what I mean? Like in a
yeah.
different place, you know, where it's like, oh shit, like I don't know. I feel like I'm struggling just to get like figured out in America, but it's cool to get like embraced in other places, you know? So like
Yeah.
I don't know. How did you find screening in different places? Like, would Play It Safe? Like, how was the reception you felt?
Yeah, it was dope, like so dope to yeah because it feels quite British to me. It feels like so like specific in time and place that it yeah it just genuinely surprised me that it would be yeah not just like resonating with international Black communities, but like literally everyone and anyone.
Yeah,
And yeah, and it's really cool to have those conversations with. Unfortunately, I didn't get to travel with it, obviously because of
yeah,
COVID.
same.
But like getting to speak to people online and people coming from like yeah, way different walks of life, but still feeling that Jonathan's journey was like reflected on their journey somehow, you know, and not coming from a Black experience or whatever, but feeling like, yo, this really speaks to me because, yeah, I associate this and this with it. Like that was really powerful to me because I
Yeah,
think I never have, I never really made work before that was that genuine, for lack of a better word. Do you know what I mean? Like, to really
Yeah,
put
yeah.
something raw in your work that is, I don't know, made me feel slightly vulnerable to begin with, to be honest. Like, and then to have those vulnerable feelings kind of be the most embraced by people who are like, yo, I feel you. I've been there, and I connect with this work powerfully because yeah. So that was really incredible, like
No,
genuinely
it's really
moving.
beautiful. Yeah, I feel like you can kind of, just in the film, you can feel like the authenticity come through, or like
Mm,
there's like an honesty to it. I mean, I know you brought up earlier the 16 mil.
yeah,
How my film dork out about that a little bit right now, but like, do you
yeah.
feel like, I don't know, and I've done some 16 mil before, but like, do you feel like because of the medium, it helps kind of bring it to that honest place too, you know? Because like
Mm,
there's something about the texture, like the idea that you get like limited takes, or like
yeah.
the idea that like there's almost like a preciousness to working with film that
Mm,
kind of like sort of focuses everyone. Do you feel like that
100,
is part of the reason that you kind of like able to capture
man.
that?
Yeah, I think because before I did play it safe, I'd shot a music video on 16 mil, and that was like a really dope experience because it was like, um we had limited, very limited budget, and I had an artist who maybe in other circumstances, like, and we were like pulling together like a riffraff of extras and stuff like that, and I think if we were shooting digital, I've been on sets like that before, and it can be quite um quite slow with people, just like, because you know you've got a million takes, so you can yeah, there's just less kind of focus, less discipline. But I think on that set I really saw this, like, yeah, like that ability to bring people in and like narrow everyone's focus, because yeah, you've only got X amount of takes, and then so applying that to play it safe, because I knew we were working with lots of young actors
Yeah.
and a low budget where things could easily get out of hand. I thought, yeah, the 16 mil way of working was gonna like really help us to stay on point, and yeah, and yeah, that was the case, man. It really helped, and but obviously the aesthetic as well. I felt like I really wanted to create something that felt timeless, which is kind of an odd thing
Yeah,
to say with 16, but because it's
it is.
so
It is.
characterful. But I think it's, yeah, it
Anytime you,
feels. Mhm.
I've been talking to people about film, and like what's cool about it is like it's an archival medium, you know? So like
Mm,
when you shoot on film, you're kind of, you know, if you keep the reel, it's 100 years old, you know, it lasts for like
mhm,
100 years. So like
mm,
it almost has a statement quality to it where it's like, oh,
mhm.
this should be preserved. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
anytime you
yeah,
like, and it's almost like you're saying this is a document, like it's like etching something in stone, you know, where
yeah,
like
for real, for real.
when you make stuff on digital, it's kind of like it feels more like, you know, and obviously you can do cool shit in digital, but it's like
No
less,
doubt.
I don't know, doesn't like hold up. You know what I mean? Like it
Yeah, yeah,
doesn't exist for that long. You know what I mean? Like it
yeah.
feels like innately like you're almost saying it's temporary somehow. But
Mm. On the formatting, yeah, was Nuevo Rico always
mhm.
an animation to you? That was that
Oh
from
yeah,
the
yeah,
time you
from the
thought about it?
beginning.
Mm,
Yeah, because I think the story I was telling there, it was so like weird and like otherworldly that I was like,
mm,
there's no way I will make this in live action. Like I was thinking from the beginning, I thought animation, and it's interesting too because I kind of did old school techniques on it too. Like I kind of
mm,
went back as well to like, you know, looking at like stuff from the 80s and the 90s and kind of like infusing that into like now a little bit, and like trying to
mm,
mix it a little bit, and like trying to find like almost like in a weird way, maybe because like something like Nuevo Rico never existed when I was growing up.
mm.
I was kind of like pulling back to my childhood and trying
Yeah.
to like like create the thing I wish existed back then, you know what I mean? Like, which is a weird thought. Like, oh, like how do I manifest or
That's
course
dope.
correct my childhood, which is like wild, you know? But I think like it's interesting because I think in community of color, like you kind of have like people identify a lot with like certain characters in animation history, you know what I'm saying? Like be
Mm.
it like I don't know, as I'm just throwing randoms, but like Goku or
Mhm.
Lionel from Thundercats, and like it's weird, like you kind of end up projecting yourself a lot to like characters that don't
Yeah.
like I don't know, like but it's fascinating. But like I was like trying to like figure it. I don't know, Nuevo Rico, I was like doing like I really did look back to like the 90s style and like the 80s
Mm.
style of animation. And we did a lot of analog techniques, you know. So
Yeah.
like, some of the cell animations like analog, and then some of the filtering is analog, where we would use CTR televisions to create warmth.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah, so it kind of brings it. It's funny because like any medium, like the flaw of its time becomes the signature that
Mm.
differentiates it, you know? So like all that analog stuff sort of makes it charming, or like gives it like a signature, you know? And I think it's really interesting with Nuevo Rico. I could tell that people have a hard time tracing like all the styles. Like they're just like,
Mm.
where, how does this all connect and how does it work? You know, I was like, I treat it like I'm just making like soup or something, you know?
Yeah, no, it's dope.
There's a
Mm.
phenomenon actually in like character design where like if you want to like make a character that's black on screen, like the
Mm.
character designers have to start at the darkest skin tone, because through the correction, like you know, through the creative process, you know, they'll start to like, they'll lighten the tone.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird phenomenon within the design animation community where like, you know, if you want your character to exist as black, you're gonna have to start at the darkest end of the spectrum, and then like
Mm.
through the, you know, whatever, like the whole
Yeah. The
I don't know,
mechanics.
yeah, like they'll start like, oh, could you like, you know, lighten the skin tone, and
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
then you'll
Yeah.
land somewhere else. So it's a really, it's actually messed up. Like, you know what I mean? But like it's
Very.
fascinating that that's kind of like how that works, you know, for some processes, you know. I'm sure there's
Mm.
more awareness of it now, and like I'm sure that I don't know, but then it's a question of like also like who's in power, or like who decides those things
That's
too, you
it.
know?
Yeah.
So like I don't know. And that's across, that's in film and in animation, obviously.
Mm.
Those are issues
Mm.
that, you know, kind of just exist, you know?
Mm. And it's dope that, yeah, kind of the work you're making, which is what I love, is like it's important work. It's got something to say about a culture, about society, but it's in this really accessible style, right? Because there is a version of your film which could be more of a, I don't know, something a bit heavier, I guess. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
essentially, like, I love the way that you kind of like incorporated, like, not only in your aesthetics, I love the kind of futuristic neon vibe. There was like Akira vibes I was getting,
Yeah.
and like, yeah, which is stuff that I love. But then also you kind of talked about this lineage, these bigger themes, but through
Hmm.
the music.
Mhm. I think me
I,
personally, I think I was just trying to trick people to talk about colonization.
mm,
Like, how do you like get people to like think about that without being like on a soapbox? Like colonization is
yeah,
something to talk about, like because
yeah,
I feel like it turns people off anytime you like
yeah, yeah,
try to
yeah,
talk
yeah.
about something. But like I think that's woven into the texture of Nuevo Rico a lot. Like it is kind of like a
Mm,
film about, you know, what it is to be a colonial subject, or like, or it's just like in the fabric of it a little bit, you know, like even if the story isn't exactly that, there's like so
yeah.
many moments that kind of like come from that a little bit, or just like colonized experience, you know.
Mm.
I felt
No,
like,
yeah.
but yeah, like you said, like not trying to like, you know, make it accessible, you know, like it's like kind of like putting medicine into us like ice cream or something, you know.
Yeah. No, I love that. Bro, like, yeah, that's something. Um, I talk a lot about with friends and filmmaking colleagues is like, yeah, trying to make work that can be digestible, can be sweet, it can be
Yeah.
ice cream, but still have the deeper stuff
I love
underneath.
play it safe where like, you don't really like you kind of you're a great filmmaker in that you kind of hold the information as long as possible, like where like you don't know where this journey is going and little by little it's like revealed,
Mm,
like and
mm,
so it like hooks people because you're intrigued, like how did
mm,
you like when you were crafting the story, how did you go about like, creating that? Like, did you always
mm.
like hold it to the vest knowing that, oh, I need to like keep people like engaged in the like
Yeah,
kind of the mystery of where this is going?
100, yeah, man. Pretty much similar to what you were describing, where I knew the end point, but I was like, that on its own isn't that. Yeah, I don't know. I felt like, as you said, there needs to be this kind of trail of to lead the audience into this world. And yeah, and I was thinking, oh, it'd be kind of interesting if it had this kind of high school rom-com energy, and like, is there gonna be something with him and this girl that he's crushing on, and then that, and it hopefully feels like a bit of a rug pull when you're like, oh shit, this is this is where we were going, it wasn't going down this other road. So yeah, that was definitely something I was thinking a lot about in the scripting, is like dropping enough kind of nuggets to
Yeah.
guide the viewer through and like take them down this darker road.
How long did the scripting process take for it? Like how were you the did you write the script or did you write it with
Yeah,
somebody else or like how did you
yeah.
the
I
process?
wrote the script ages ago, like probably I'd say like 6 7 years ago, and
Wow.
then I just slept on it, and I tried to get it made. No one was, because there's yeah, lots of funding bodies here, and I just couldn't get anyone to want to produce it. And then luckily I got in touch with the compulsory team who, yeah, uh loved the script and were like down to support it.
Yeah.
And then yeah, they gave me some notes, so I revised it probably over a couple of months, just to, it was super lean before, and as I was talking about there, like I was, yeah, trying to create these nuggets of info, like the corridor sequence and a couple of other beats within the classroom, just to, so yeah, it wasn't like a 5 minute film basically that just
Yeah.
like concentrates on this one sequence. And
Yeah.
and how about you? I noticed you had a collaborator on the script.
Yeah, I kind of came up with the story, and then like I did a draft of the script, and then I wanted to collaborate with someone from Puerto Rico, Juan Arroyo, to kind
Mm,
of like do a polish pass and like kind of like infuse it with something else, and like we kind of
mm,
just then we ping ponged it a bit, and then like I would always go back in and then like try to put in like a goofier like energy because I think I
yeah.
talk I talk very colloquially, so I was just like trying to like keep the feeling colloquial in it, because
Mm,
I was
mm,
just trying to keep the characters feeling like loose or like not like it's
mhm.
hard to do in animation actually, like kind of
Yeah,
give
I
characters
imagine.
like yeah, because you kind of like have to create that looseness, like it doesn't exist inherently, like sort of, like where I wanted them to be able to like talk a little freer or like more like I was really trying to get that voice across right, and yeah, me and Juan wrote it, and it's interesting because like I think we it was like yeah, it was a cool process just collaborating with someone back and
Yeah.
forth on the script, and like but the scripting didn't really end like till the end sort of because we kept changing the story as we were making it, which was kind of
Mhm.
crazy. Like so we would like add scenes, tweak scenes, even the ending we were kind of like changing to the ending didn't really come together till the very end really, like we were just kind of like constantly struggling to find the right ending, and we had
Mm,
multiple versions of it like at some point, and like it really it didn't really come together to the very last that like point, which was kind of a wild process to kind of like
Yeah,
go towards something but not have like the end point.
yeah.
Speaking of endings, like Play It Safe has like, I mean, that's really where the
Yeah.
hit hits, right? Like towards that last I guess third of the film, right? Where it's like kind of like he gets the card and like, this exercise, and then like you have all this like interplay of expectations where like I feel like the class has like a certain like, oh shit, like,
Yeah.
but then he has this, and there's such a, it's really cool filmmaking, like where you can kind of, you don't see the action but you feel it, like, yeah, talk to us about that a little bit, just to kind of like
Yeah.
kind of crafted that, because that was
Thank you.
wild.
No, yeah, that sequence was like, yeah, where the yeah, as you say, where the power comes from, and I always, I don't know why, like it was just like random instinct as I was writing the script was that we don't see him during this performance. And then it was like retrospectively that I was kind of trying to think why, and then yeah, and for me, essentially, it was more important that we see the classroom and we see the classmates and the teacher, obviously, because essentially it was more about, not more about them, but it's like equally about them as it is about Jonathan, because he ends up in this situation, and yeah, like because of their actions, right? And I think a lot of these kinds of stories, I guess, will focus more on Jonathan and that and his path, obviously, and for good reason. But I really was trying to highlight the kind of institutional elements that gets Jonathan into this place, and yeah, that's been like it was a really kind of cool thing that the guys at Compulsory and Jamie Ackroyd, the DP, that they were able to believe and to see the vision on that one, because I could tell like initially it was like, shit, like this could not work, and if it doesn't work, like the whole thing doesn't work, because it's like the centerpiece of the film, and then
Totally.
your main characters off screen, it just kind of felt a bit backwards. But yeah, once we actually did it, I think, and we were there live watching it, everyone realized, like, because you could see the monitor, and it's pretty much the take in the film is pretty much the take we got on the day.
Wow.
The second take was just doing pickups, so
Wow.
that was like that moment, and it was like, oh shit, yeah, like, and being able to see all the reactions from our cast members, and like having, it was, yeah, a real visceral moment in that way. So yeah, like it's one of those where you plan it and you write it in a script, you write it in a treatment, but fully expecting that this might not work. We might have to do coverage, but no, like doing it, sticking to my guns in that respect, and like, no, yeah, like,
That's
yeah,
great.
I'm just happy it came through. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I mean it's yeah. So yeah, like sometimes that's what it is. Like what you see on screen, what you don't see on screen is like kind of like, like the stuff you don't see on screen is equally important as the stuff you see on screen, So it's a lot about gaze too, I mean, like you get that feeling too across, like
Yeah,
where
man.
it's a powerful scene.
Yeah, man. This whole film, we're staring at Jonathan, like, and I think in a lot of the similar material focused on similar themes, yeah, the camera gazes at this person, right, who's being victimized in some way, and essentially, not only is he taking power through, like, yo, all right, you want to see a show? I'm gonna show
Yeah,
you
he
something.
flips it.
But
Yeah.
yeah, he flips it and he carries the camera, and actually, we can't pin him down anymore. And yeah, like there's power in escaping the camera's gaze, essentially, and yeah, it played so beautifully that.
I wish I saw that in a theater because I would love to see like the audience's reaction to that too. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, you know what I mean? Like, you would have like almost like the same, almost in a weird way, you would probably get the same kind of energy that you feel.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
there would
yeah,
be like that
yeah,
same
yeah.
like, you know what I mean? Like there would be like
Definitely,
that
definitely.
quiet, like that, like the theater would probably go quiet almost, you know?
Yeah. Have you managed to catch this with an audience in Puerto Rico?
Yeah, towards the tail end, yeah. Like I ended up
Yeah.
going to a couple festivals that were in person and finally got to see it with an audience, and it was fun to see what people react to and like how it plays. Yeah, I mean, I had one really good one, one really great screening where I was like, oh shit, like this
Mm,
this vibe is so good.
yeah, man. I can imagine.
From the audience. Yeah, it was cool. It was really cool. Yeah.
And sorry, I wanted to ask you more about the music.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, cause yeah, that was as I said earlier, like a really dope angle to lens to see the story through. Like, are you musical yourself, or like
I
how
love
how did you end up there?
I love music in general. Like
Mm,
also like with in Puerto Rico, it's like one of the things that we export the most culturally. Like it feels like it has the biggest, like I feel like it has the biggest reach or amplification, you know, like that we have,
mm,
you know what I mean? Like, yeah,
yeah.
so like that's kind of wild. It's always wild to see how transcendent that is right now. And I mean, it used to be music that comes from the slums, and
Mm,
it was almost like seen as bad. Like it used to be like there was a point in time where it was people were trying to outlaw it in Puerto Rico, and then like I don't know, when I was growing up in America, it was always felt like it was like people thought of it as like the annoying musical genre, you know, but
mm.
maybe it was just ahead of its time because it's not that different from like trap music, you know. It has like
True, very true. Yeah.
similar, like vibes. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, like music was a big part of the storytelling for sure. And I wanted
Mm,
to tell a story through the music, connected to music. I was really obsessed with giving like reggaeton like a cinematic language. That was like
yeah.
my biggest objective with it. Like how do I, because I don't see that a lot. And I feel like it's weird to have something like a musical genre like reggaeton be so big, but have no real cinematic interpretation, you know? So like I was just trying to figure that out, you know, a little bit.
No, I think you 100% executed that, and like, yeah, that's something I was gonna mention. Was like your world building. I thought was so dope.
I was really trying to like paint a world for sure. Like
Mm,
that was a big part of it. Like, like put people in a wild place. And I do a lot of like little like tongue-in-cheek stuff. Like they go to Miami, but it's underwater. Like, you know what I mean? Like that shit is interesting
yeah.
as hell. Like, you know, obviously it's like looking at the future and you're thinking like, you know, it's like, oh, like there's something funny and interesting about like the decadence of like a party happening in like you know, a drowned city, you know, which I think is relevant to our world now still. Like, you know, like it is like, are we all just having like a party on the Titanic? Like I don't know, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like is that our reality?
Yeah. The phrase, I think, dancing on a volcano or something like that. Right? Mm,
I'm fascinated by that. Like I'm super fascinated by that, like in general. And so when I was building this world in Nuevo Rico, even though we're, you know, it's a small place, you know, like, you know, that's kind of part of that idea. Like what's a small place look like in the future, you know, because you don't usually see that anyway. But
mm,
the idea too that like, you know, there's like, I don't know, there's something weird about like how, you know, how we cope with the world or how we interact with the world, you know, and like in the face of all these kind of crazy things that are just happening all the time, you know what I mean? And we're
mm.
probably even living through some of it now, you know. So like, you know, it's weird. It is just weird, you know what I mean? Like I don't have a solution for that. I don't have like, I just think it's just fascinating to see, you
You-
know.
yeah. On that, like, because it's something that I found, like doing Q&As and interviews and stuff about the film, is feeling the need to have solutions, right? Because it feels like because you're grappling something quite serious and kind of relevant to society at the moment, and that, like, yeah, how do you feel about kind of being thrust into that kind of talking head perspective, like, yo, how do we
Yeah,
deal with this?
I definitely don't have like any solutions for stuff. I feel like it's just, I like the idea of just talking about what's happening, right? And then like bringing light, shedding light to it is like kind of like a good
Yeah,
thing. Like I feel like it's like more like you just move the spotlight to kind of have the conversation, you know, and then like that should stimulate people to start asking those questions, I think, you know, because I think when you start offering solutions sometimes too, it's like it's you rob things from nuance, and then you also kind of like that's where it gets a little like not like I don't know if the word is dangerous, because there's definitely times where things can have an absolute solution, you know, for sure. But like I don't know. I don't know if the job. It's tough. I don't know. I don't know what the role of the artist is in society. Sometimes like, I think for me, it's like I think the artist should just like have the conversation or like point to things or like engage, you know. But I don't
yeah,
know if the artist is supposed to be the one solving it. You know what I'm saying? It's more like, you know what I mean? Like it's like,
for
you know,
real, for real. Yeah,
we're not like me personally, I don't know. I don't have a skill set to like solve problems of the world, but I could at least engage and talk about them, you know, and like be like, yo, this is kind of like, should we look at this? Should we be thinking about this a little bit more, or like point to it and have the conversation? And you hope that the conversation sparks something so that other people have the conversation, you know?
right. Yeah, yeah. That's, I couldn't have said it better myself, man. That's exactly my thoughts on it. Yeah, no, like that's the best we can do. Essentially, is like highlight and open the floor. And yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Really great to talk to you, man. Yeah,
Yeah, same.
stay
It
in
was
touch.
awesome talking. I mean, yeah, I hope yeah, I want to see more stuff, you know what I
Yeah,
mean, that you make. And I'm obviously gonna be following your stuff as it comes, you know. I'm sure you'll be making so much good stuff, you know what I mean? Like
fingers
uh,
crossed, man. Yeah,
yeah.
should have some cool stuff on the way.
Well, thanks for having the conversation, man. This is awesome.
No, thank you, man. Thank you. Really great to catch up, and yeah,
Yeah,
love, man.
100. Yeah, we'll stay in touch for sure.
Yeah.
Cool.